Welcome to the verdict room. Case number 007. You are the jury. A man hacked a hospital, held their files for ransom, demanded $400,000. Then he gave every penny to families of people that hospital let die. In 15 minutes, you decide if he goes to prison for 40 years or walks free. June 3rd, 2023, Oak Ridge Medical Center, Boston, Massachusetts, 11:52 p.m. Their entire patient database goes dark, encrypted, locked. A message appears. Pay $400,000. You have 12 hours. By morning, the hospital paid, but the money didn't go to the hacker. It went to 37 families, the families of patients who died because that same hospital denied them life-saving treatment just to cut costs. Marcus Rivera, age 26, software engineer, no criminal record. He committed federal crimes. He extorted a corporation. He exposed systematic medical fraud that killed 37 people. Today, he faces Judge Elena Martinez. The charges: computer fraud, extortion, wire fraud. The maximum sentence, 40 years in federal prison. But in this courtroom, you are the jury. And by the end of this case, you will decide his fate.
Mr. Rivera, you stand accused of computer fraud, extortion, and wire fraud under Title 18 of the United States Code. Before we hear from the prosecution, I want to hear from you directly. Tell this court, in your own words, why did you do it?
Your Honor, my sister was dying. Sophia. She's 22 years old, stage 3 ovarian cancer. The oncologist at Oak Ridge Medical Center recommended an aggressive treatment plan. Chemotherapy combined with immunotherapy. The survival rate was 72%. 72%, Your Honor. But Oak Ridge denied her insurance claim. They said the immunotherapy was experimental treatment not covered under her policy. It wasn't experimental. It was standard protocol for her specific cancer markers.
So you couldn't appeal this decision? Couldn't seek legal recourse through the proper channels?
We did appeal, Your Honor, twice. The first appeal took 3 weeks, denied. The second appeal took another 4 weeks, also denied. My family had $6,000 in total savings. The treatment cost $380,000. Without the treatment, the doctors gave Sophia 11 months to live. Maybe less. I had a choice, Your Honor. Watch my sister die or do something about it.
Do something about it. You mean commit federal crimes? Mr. Rivera, there are legal avenues, patient advocacy groups, fundraising, media attention. Why didn't you pursue those options?
Because I did, Your Honor. I spent 3 weeks researching Oak Ridge Medical Center, their parent company, their financial records, everything I could access legally. And I found something. Internal emails, leaked by a former employee who posted them anonymously online. The CFO of Emerald Health Corporation, that's Oak Ridge's parent company, sent an email to the CEO celebrating their quarterly profits. Q4 margins exceeded projections by denying 18% of stage 3 oncology claims. Recommend continuing policy into 2023. 18%, Your Honor. They weren't denying treatments because they were ineffective. They were denying them because they were expensive.
That's corporate negligence, possibly even criminal negligence. But that still doesn't give you the right to hack their systems and extort them. You could have taken those emails to law enforcement, to regulators, to journalists.
I did that too, Your Honor. I sent the emails to a healthcare journalist at the Boston Globe 3 weeks before the hack. She said they couldn't publish without corroboration from current employees. No one at Oak Ridge would go on record. I contacted the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, filed a formal complaint. They said they'd, quote, open an investigation. That was 8 weeks before the hack. My sister had 6 weeks left to live at that point. The legal system moves slowly, Your Honor. My sister was dying quickly.
So you took matters into your own hands. Walk me through what you did. June 3rd, 2023. Be specific.
I work as a cybersecurity analyst. Part of my job is finding vulnerabilities in systems. Oak Ridge Medical Center's network security was inadequate. I'd noticed it months earlier when Sophia was first admitted. On June 3rd at 11:47 p.m., I accessed their network using an exploit in their patient portal system. I didn't steal patient data. I didn't leak medical records. I didn't harm anyone. I deployed a ransomware script that encrypted their administrative database. Billing records, insurance files, scheduling systems, patient medical records remained accessible to doctors and nurses. I made sure of that.
You made sure of that? Mr. Rivera, you put an entire hospital's operations at risk. What if something had gone wrong? What if a patient needed emergency access to records you'd locked?
Your Honor, I monitored their systems in real time for the entire 12 hours. I had a dead man switch set up. If any emergency room patient needed immediate record access, the system would have automatically unlocked their specific files. I'm not a terrorist. I'm not trying to hurt innocent people. The hospital was offline for administrative functions only. No surgeries were delayed. No emergency patients were turned away. I calculated the risk, Your Honor. 12 hours of administrative inconvenience versus years of systematic medical fraud that killed 37 people.
Let's talk about the ransom demand. $400,000. That's not a small amount, Mr. Rivera. That's extortion.
It is extortion, Your Honor. I'm not denying that. But I didn't ask for the money to be sent to me. The ransom message included a list of 37 names. The 37 patients who had died after Oak Ridge denied coverage for treatable conditions. I provided bank account information for their families. I told Oak Ridge, pay $11,000 to each of these families, or your data is deleted permanently. At 6:14 a.m. on June 4th, Oak Ridge authorized payment. By 6:30 a.m., 37 families woke up to wire transfers with a memo line that said, Settlement, Oak Ridge Medical Center. I released the decryption key immediately. Every file was restored. No data was lost.
And you think that makes it okay? Mr. Rivera, you appointed yourself judge, jury, and executioner. You decided what was just. You decided who deserved compensation. That's not how a civilized society functions.
Your Honor, I agree with you. In a civilized society, corporations shouldn't be allowed to kill people for profit margins. In a civilized society, a 22-year-old woman with a 72% chance of survival shouldn't be given a death sentence because her treatment cost too much. In a civilized society, 37 families shouldn't have to bury their loved ones because a hospital's parent company wanted to boost quarterly earnings. But we don't live in that society, do we? So yes, Your Honor, I took the law into my own hands because the law failed 37 times.
Mr. Rivera, I'm going to ask you a difficult question, and I want you to think carefully before you answer. Where does it end? If you can hack a hospital because you believe they're corrupt, can someone else hack a bank, a power grid, a government agency? If everyone who feels wronged by a system decides to become a vigilante, what happens to society?
Your Honor, I'm not advocating for vigilantism. I'm not saying everyone should do what I did. But I am saying that when systems fail catastrophically, when corporations kill people and face no consequences, when the legal system moves so slowly that people die waiting for justice, someone has to act.
Even if it means breaking the law?
Yes, Your Honor. I knew what I was doing was illegal. I knew I'd face consequences. But I also knew that if I didn't act, my sister would be dead right now. And 37 families would still be drowning in medical debt, wondering why nobody cared that their loved ones died for a quarterly earnings report.
You keep mentioning these 37 families. Did any of them ask you to do this? Did they want you to extort money on their behalf?
No, Your Honor. They didn't even know who I was until the FBI arrested me. But 12 of them came forward during my trial. They testified. One woman, Patricia Chin, age 54, testified about her husband. She said her husband died 6 days after Oak Ridge denied his treatment. They'd been married 32 years. When she got the $11,000, she thought it was a clerical error. When she found out what I'd done, she said she cried for 3 days. Not because of the money, because someone finally said, "Your husband's life mattered."
Mr. Rivera, I don't doubt that you helped those families. And I don't doubt that Oak Ridge Medical Center engaged in deeply unethical practices. But good intentions do not erase criminal actions. This country cannot function if every person decides which laws to follow based on their personal sense of justice. Let me ask you one final question. Do you regret what you did?
I regret that I had to do it, Your Honor. I regret that we live in a system so broken that a 26-year-old software engineer felt this was his only option. I regret that 37 people had to die before anyone paid attention to what Oak Ridge was doing. But do I regret saving my sister's life? Do I regret giving those 37 families some measure of justice? No, Your Honor, I don't.
Even if it means you go to prison for decades.
Even then. Because if I hadn't acted, I'd be standing at my sister's grave right now instead of in this courtroom. And 37 families would still be wondering why the system that was supposed to protect them let them die instead.
Every person watching this has lived a life, has faced moral dilemmas, has had to choose between what's legal and what's right. Some of you have lost loved ones to systems that failed them. Some of you believe in the rule of law above all else. Some of you believe that sometimes the law must be broken to achieve justice. Marcus Rivera could face 40 years in federal prison, or he could face probation, or something in between. That decision is yours, because you are the jury. The verdict is in your hands. Go to the comments section right now. Type one word, justified or wrong. But before you vote, ask yourself these questions. If your sister was dying and the system failed you, what would you do? If someone hacked your hospital, held your medical records ransom, how would you feel? If you were one of those 37 families, would Marcus be a criminal or a hero? In our last case, 67,423 people voted. The majority decided a man's fate. Their verdict determined whether he faced prison or freedom. Tomorrow, at this exact time, I will return with your verdict on Marcus Rivera, the sentence you chose for him, the consequences of your decision. The votes are being counted right now. Every comment, every voice, every verdict. This is not a poll. This is a sentencing. Your vote has real consequences. Marcus Rivera's future hangs in the balance. Will he serve 4 decades in prison? Will he walk free? That depends on you. Vote now. Debate in the comments. Defend your position. Because in 24 hours, the gavel falls and your verdict becomes final.